The sixth red tag is still swinging from the loader's fork when Wade Mercer tears it free and lets it fall at my boots. I flagged 6 new machines before Monday's client handover. 6 serial plates, 6 sets of replaced rivets, 6 histories that don't fit the paint. Wade laughs. "You're fired. Security can walk you out." He says it loudly enough for Julian Cross, the buyer, to hear. Loud enough for every technician in Bay 3 to stop pretending not to watch. "She calls it fraud," Wade says. "I call it junior panic." My inspection tablet feels slick in my hand. I look toward Denise Harper, my lead, because 11 minutes ago she told me not to remove those tags for anybody. Now she lowers her eyes. I'm 21 years old, wearing a Halcyon equipment shirt with my name stitched over my heart, and the security officer waiting beside me is a man whose torque wrench I borrowed yesterday. Wade points toward the glass doors. What I don't understand yet is why he won't look at the serial number. The machines are vineyard loaders, compact enough to move between trellised rows and powerful enough to lift a half-ton harvest bin without bruising the fruit. Halcyon has lined them up under the delivery bay lights, with their forks lowered at matching angles. Someone polished the tires. Someone even sprayed black dressing into the tread. They look beautiful from 10 feet away. From underneath, they look 4 years old. "Give me the tablet," Wade says. I lock the screen against my hip. It's assigned to my employee ID, and your employee ID is no longer active. That happened fast. A few people glance at the concrete. One of the mechanics coughs into his fist, hiding something that might be a laugh. Wade hears it anyway. He steps closer. Wade is good at filling space without seeming to. He's a broad man in a fitted blue blazer who remembers customers' birthdays, diesel prices, and exactly how long to hold eye contact before it starts feeling like a threat. "This is a client handover," he says quietly, "not your certification practical." Then why are the filter dates 18 months old? His face stays friendly. That is one of his gifts. Julian Cross walks around the first loader, running 2 fingers over its cream-colored hood. Bellwether Vineyards has his company name embroidered on everything, including the cuff of his shirt. He wipes a trace of dust between his fingers. "Wade," he says, "are these new?" "Yes," I say. "The paint is." Denise closes her eyes. Wade turns his smile on Julian. "Mara has excellent instincts. That's why we hired her. But sometimes excellent instincts need seasoning." "You just fired her," Julian says, "for refusing a direct instruction in front of a customer." "The instruction was to clear my inspection tags," I say. The glass doors reflect the whole scene back at us. 6 pearl white loaders, Wade's blue jacket, my red tags, and Calvin Pike from security standing behind me with his hands carefully away from his belt. Wade holds out his palm. "Tablet." I look at Denise again. "Did you approve my findings?" Her mouth tightens. 3 years earlier, Denise had been the first instructor at a night training program who didn't take the wrench out of my hand when I hesitated. She just said, "If you need 5 seconds, take 5. If you need someone to pretend the 5 seconds didn't happen, find a different trade." Now she studies a dark crescent of grease under her thumbnail. "I told you to pause the release," she says. "Denise," Wade warns. "I told her to pause it." That costs her. I can see the moment she understands how much. Wade's smile disappears, then returns in a smaller, more efficient version. "And I overruled you after reviewing the acquisition documents." Julian taps the hood. "Can I see those?" "They're in the handover packet." "No," I say. "The acquisition documents." Calvin moves beside me. "Mara." He says my name softly, an apology shaped like a warning. I hand him the tablet. I don't hand it to Wade. "Thank you," Calvin says. Wade points to the doors. "Her badge, too." I pull the badge from my belt. The plastic clip catches on a loop and snaps, sending the card skittering across the floor. It stops beneath the second loader. Nobody moves for it. I crouch down. The brass caliper in my thigh pocket presses into my ribs. As I reach beneath the loader, I can see overspray along the inner wheel housing, bright cream paint feathering over older vineyard green scratches. There's a shallow melted place in one hydraulic sleeve. I take my badge and stand. "That line was exposed to heat," I say. Wade makes a tired sound. "Security." Calvin opens the glass door. The lobby beyond it smells like burnt coffee and the lemon cleaner the night crew uses on the floors. I walk through without looking back. The doors begin to close, and then someone calls my name. Not Denise. Mara. A lean man with silver-framed glasses comes out of the conference room. He has a bellwether visitor badge and a laptop tucked under his arm. I recognize him from the project emails. Noah Klein, warranty director. He'd arrived late enough to miss Wade's welcome presentation. "Those tags were yours?" he asks. They were. "What exactly did you find?" Wade reaches the doors before they close. "Noah, Julian and I can bring you up to speed." Noah keeps looking at me. Serial number on the nearest unit, HG-LV-884103. "You memorized it?" I typed it 4 times. Once into inspection, once into receiving, once into the manufacturer lookup, and once into a message Denise told me not to send until she checked it. Wade's head turns toward Denise. There it is. Adaptation. Fast and quiet. "Which manufacturer lookup?" Noah asks. "The public parts catalog. It recognized the model family, but the production suffix didn't match the emissions label. That can happen with regional inventory," Wade says. "All 6 times?" "You inspected all 6, Noah asks. Friday night. Denise finally looks at me through the glass. Noah sets his laptop on the lobby's narrow display counter. Our enterprise portal has full warranty history. Wade comes through the doors. "We can review this in the conference room." "I'm already here," Noah says. "This is a personnel matter." It became a warranty matter when she gave me a serial. He wakes the laptop. The bellwether logo appears, then a login box. Wade stands at Noah's shoulder, close enough to see everything. Calvin glances toward the parking lot. "Am I still walking her out?" "I've been fired," I say. "I'm not under arrest." He rubs the bridge of his nose. That was almost funny. It was a little funny. "Stay by the door." So I stay beside the glass doors as Noah enters the first code. The portal finished loading after 8 slow seconds. The screen fills with a machine record. Original retail date, 4 years earlier. First owner, Red Mesa Aggregate, Nevada. Service event, hydraulic system fire damage. Disposition, repossession. Current coverage, limited refurbished equipment warranty. 11 weeks remaining. For a moment, all I hear is the delivery bay's ceiling fan clicking once per turn. Julian comes through the doors. "What am I looking at?" Noah rotates the laptop. Wade leans over the screen as if changing his angle might change the words. "That database is wrong." Noah's expression barely shifts. It's the manufacturer's database. I know whose database it is. Asset histories get crossed in bulk transfers. Then we check another, I say. Wade looks at me now. Finally. Not angry. Measuring. Noah types the second serial from memory as I recite it. This loader was originally sold to an orchard operation in Oregon, repossessed, rebuilt after a transmission failure, 9 weeks of coverage left. The third had 1,200 operating hours before its display module was replaced. By the fourth, Julian has stopped asking questions. He takes out a folded copy of Bellwether's purchase order and finds the paragraph that says, "Factory new, current model year, full manufacturer warranty." Wade straightens his cuffs. "The machines meet the operational specifications," he says. "That is what matters for Monday." Julian looks up. "That isn't what we bought. What you bought was a production outcome. 6 reliable units delivered inside an impossible lead time, configured for narrow row handling, with trained support on site. I delivered that." "You delivered used machines, professionally remanufactured machines. With new serial plates?" I ask. Wade's eyes settle on me. "You've said enough." Noah types the 6th code, Red Mesa Aggregate again, same fire event as the first machine, listed as part of a 2-unit loss. I picture the melted place in the hydraulic sleeve. Julian folds the purchase order along an existing crease, carefully, like he's trying not to tear it. Freeze acceptance. Julian, Wade says, nothing leaves this building. We have harvest staging in 9 days. If you freeze acceptance now, you lose operator training, route calibration, and probably your opening date. There's no panic in his voice. This is the version of Wade that makes customers forgive shipping mistakes and makes technicians volunteer for Saturdays. He isn't bluffing about the schedule. Bellwether redesigned 2 loading zones around these units. Their heavier machines can't make the turns. Julian knows that. Noah knows it too. I hate that Wade is still useful. Wade steps closer to Julian, lowering his voice without making it private. Give me 48 hours to reconcile the records. If the warranty classification is wrong, I'll fix it. If the portal is wrong, I'll document it. Either way, you'll have working equipment Monday. And her? Julian asks, nodding toward me. Wade doesn't turn. She violated chain of command and accused colleagues of fraud in front of a client. I said the asset identities were false. You wrote suspected fraudulent identification in an inspection note because machines wearing fake mustaches isn't in the drop-down menu. Calvin looks at the ceiling. Noah's mouth twitches, but Julian doesn't smile. Did she alter anything in the portal? She doesn't have access, Noah says. Wade answers at the same time. We don't know what she accessed. That changes the air. I stare at him. You assigned my permissions, and you repeatedly requested elevated manufacturer access for warranty commissioning, requests that were denied, because you said Noah's team would do it at handover. Noah closes the laptop halfway. They were denied? Wade nods. Standard separation of duties. It sounds responsible, that's the worst part. Every fact he chooses is true. He just arranges them until I look like the lie. Denise comes into the lobby carrying a red rejection tag. Mine. A dirty shoe print crosses one corner. Mara photographed the plates before she entered the serials, she says. Time-stamped, tied to the work order. Wade turns. Were you supervising her? Yes. Then you'll need to explain why she remained on site after her shift, accessed customer inventory without sales authorization, and created records you hadn't approved. Denise's grip tightens on the tag. Friday night had been her idea. The loaders arrived 6 hours late, sealed inside transport wrap. She bought us vending machine coffee and helped me lift the first engine cover. At 9:40, her wife called about a burst pipe in their kitchen. Denise left after making me promise I wouldn't release anything until she returned. Now Wade has converted that favor into unauthorized access. I gave her permission, Denise says. Verbally? She doesn't answer. Wade nods once, as if she has confirmed something for him. Go secure the bay. No one touches those machines. Denise looks at me. Go, I say. It comes out harsher than I mean it to. Her face closes. She puts the dirty tag on the counter and walks back through the doors. Wade turns to Calvin. Complete the escort. Noah opens his laptop again. I need copies of her inspection records. Internal compliance will preserve all relevant material. I need them for Bellwether's acceptance review. You'll receive them through the contract channel. Wade is building walls now. Contract channel, personnel matter, internal compliance. Each one sounds reasonable on its own. Calvin holds the outside door for me. I step into a hard white morning. Heat rises from the parking lot, carrying the smell of asphalt and the sugary exhaust of the winery down the road. My car sits in the far row with a cardboard sunshade bent across the windshield. Mara, Noah calls. Wade is speaking to Julian behind him, already pulling the crisis toward a room he controls. Noah walks outside and offers me a plain white business card. Do you have the photographs anywhere besides Halcyon's system? My phone feels heavy in my back pocket. Every morning before inspection, I close my brass caliper on a certified steel block and photograph the reading beside the day's work order. Denise called it my little breakfast ritual. On Friday, each calibration photo caught part of a loader in the background. 2 showed bare mounting holes before serial plates appeared there, Saturday morning. The photos had synced to my personal training portfolio because I needed calibration evidence for my certification exam. I could tell Noah that. Instead, I ask, "Are you trying to help me or protect Bellwether?" He considers it longer than politeness requires. "Bellwether," he says. "Right now." The honesty hurts less than kindness would have. I take his card. Calvin hands me a small banker's box from reception. Someone has emptied my locker into it. Spare gloves, safety glasses, 2 protein bars, a chipped mug, and the steel calibration block wrapped in an oily blue rag. My certification application is folded underneath everything. The practical exam fee is due Friday. Halcyon's sponsorship line has Wade's signature on it, or had. A black pen has been dragged through his name so hard it nearly cut the paper. I look through the glass doors. Wade is watching me while he talks to Julian, one hand resting on the laptop that has just proved every serial I flagged. Then he smiles and guides Julian toward the conference room. The meeting isn't over. He's simply making sure I'm no longer in it. I carry the box to my car without giving Wade the satisfaction of watching me drop it. The banker's box lists to one side because the calibration block weighs almost 4 pounds. I set it on the passenger floor, then take the brass caliper from my pocket and lay it on top. Its case is scratched at the corners and doesn't shut unless I squeeze both brass latches at once. My phone buzzes before I get the driver's door closed. Halcyon Mobile Device Management. Access revoked. A second notice tells me my email credentials have changed. Then the inspection app signs itself out and wipes its local files. I stare at the empty login screen. Wade has probably done that from Noah's laptop while explaining how seriously Halcyon takes information security. The calibration photographs are still in my training portfolio. I switch off cellular data before opening it. Friday's first picture shows the steel block between the caliper's jaws, the display reading exactly 1 inch. In the background, blurred but recognizable, the nearest loader sits with its transport wrap half removed. I enlarge the image. 2 small holes puncture the mounting bracket beneath the operator's seat. No plate, no rivets. In the next photograph, taken 26 minutes later, loader 2 has the same empty bracket. My inspection photographs from that night show serial plates fixed to both machines. I put the phone face down. A soft knock lands on my window. Calvin stands outside with my water bottle. I lower the glass 3 inches. "You forgot this in the bay." "Thanks." He passes it through. A scratch sticker on the side says, "Certified Calm," which Denise bought me after I threw a socket trade during my first month at Halcyon. Calvin glances back toward the building. "I'm supposed to document when you leave." "Then you should probably document that I'm leaving." "You okay to drive?" "I've been fired, not tranquilized." "Your hands are shaking." I tighten them around the bottle. "Better?" "No." He rests his forearm on the roof of my car. He looks embarrassed by his own concern. "Wade told me to bring him anything left in your locker that looked company issued," he says. "I told him the caliper was yours." "It is." "I know. Your initials are carved in the case. Very sophisticated inventory control." He wanted the calibration block too. That makes me look at him. "The block belongs to Halcyon. I bought it after theirs went out of certification." Calvin shrugs. "Then I guess I made a mistake." He taps the roof twice and steps away. By the time I reach my apartment, Halcyon has emailed my personal address. The subject line says separation materials, as if my employment was a seam they opened carefully. My termination letter cites insubordination, inappropriate disclosure of internal concerns to a customer, and suspected interference with asset records. Benefits continue through the end of the month. My unused vacation will be held pending return of company property. Below the letter is a preservation notice instructing me not to alter or destroy any Halcyon information in my possession. Nothing says not to look at my own photographs. I set the calibration block on the kitchen table and work through every image. The table wobbles, so I wedge the crossed-out certification application under one leg. It's petty and effective. My routine has always been the same. Steel block first, work order visible on the right, caliper display centered. machine or component behind it whenever possible. I started doing it after a customer blamed me for a bad measurement taken by another technician. Denise told me a clean record could turn an argument into a 5-minute conversation. Friday's images give me more than missing plates. Loader 3 has yellow grease pencil on the windshield, R17. Its new serial ends in 609. Loader 4 still has a Nevada transport permit tucked behind its seat. Loader 5's hour display reads 1.6 before it reads 0.3 in my formal inspection photo. The obvious explanation is that I mixed up the machines. Wade will say that because it almost sounds true. I open the metadata and write the time, work order, and image number in a paper notebook. I don't crop anything. I don't rename anything. At 4:30, I copy the original files to a blank memory card and seal it in an envelope with the date across the flap. At 4:42, an email arrives from Noah. Bellwether requests a factual interview regarding the condition and identity of equipment presented for acceptance this morning. Our procurement counsel will attend. Please advise if you are represented. I read the last sentence 3 times. My checking account has enough money for rent, groceries, and either the certification exam or an hour with the kind of attorney whose website uses scales of justice. I reply that I'm not represented and ask whether Bellwether is offering paid technical consulting or requesting a statement from a terminated employee. Noah answers 7 minutes later. Fair question. I'll confirm. That is all. At 6, somebody knocks on my apartment door using the rhythm Denise uses on tool cabinets. 2 hard, 1 soft. I leave the chain on. She stands in the hallway holding a paper grocery bag. Her halcyon shirt is wrinkled. There's a wet patch beneath one arm and a fresh scrape along her jaw. I brought your socket set, she says. It was in the box. The good one. She lifts the bag. Metal shifts inside. I open the door. Denise sets the bag on the counter and notices my certification application under the table leg. She pulls it free, reads Wade's crossed-out signature, and replaces it with a folded takeout menu. You'll stain it. He canceled the sponsorship. I figured. You figured before or after you let him fire me? Her face turns still. Denise can take shouting. A calm voice makes her nervous. He had the termination ready, she says. Tessa came down from compliance with the paperwork before you reached the lobby. Tessa Brill was there. In Wade's office, he called her Friday night. I think of Wade holding out his hand for my tablet, the employee access disappearing before I reached my car. He knew I'd flag them. He knew you'd notice something. And you? I knew the filters were old. I thought they'd swapped service stock into the shipment while we waited for new units. Wade told me the correct paperwork was coming. Did you believe him? For longer than I should have. She reaches for the chipped mug from my box, then sees there's nothing in it and puts it down. Julian froze the handover, she says. Wade locked Bay 3. We're inventorying every tool and access log. We? Tessa and me. Wade says your serial searches triggered duplicate asset records. He says you panicked and tried to correct them manually. I couldn't edit those records. You could edit receiving, not manufacturer warranty history. I know. Will you say that? Denise rubs the scrape on her jaw. He wants a written statement tonight. There's the actual reason she came. What happens if you don't give him one? He pulls every inspection I signed this year. Were they bad? Some were rushed. That isn't an answer. She exhales through her nose. We reused factory measurements on 3 pre-delivery checklists when the machines were still in transit. Sales needed the financing packets closed before quarter end. I signed after the machines arrived and verified the specs. You backdated them. I completed them late. With earlier dates. Yes, I moved the calibration block away from her side of the table. The motion is small, but she sees it. Wade approved it, she says, and kept copies. He keeps copies of everything, except the correct acquisition documents. Her laugh is dry and brief. Those he keeps too, we just don't get to see them. Denise tells me the original loaders were delayed 14 weeks after a control module shortage. Bellwether refused to move the handover date because their harvest contractor had already been booked. Wade found the 6 refurbished units through a liquidation broker and told the technicians they were temporary service stock. "He got them running," she says. "I'll give him that. 2 arrived with bad pumps. He found compatible replacements, had the control software updated, and got narrow row kits fabricated in 11 days. He could have offered them as refurbished substitutions. Julian's financing package requires new equipment. So Wade changed the identity. I didn't say that. You came to my apartment to avoid saying anything. I came because he's going to make this about you." "He already did." "No, Mara. Today he fired you. Tomorrow he's going to say you created the mismatch because you were angry about being passed over for field lead." I stare at her. There wasn't an open field lead position. There will be in his version. She takes a folded sheet from her pocket. It's a draft statement with her name at the bottom. The first paragraph describes me as talented but emotionally reactive. The second says I expressed resentment about my age-limiting advancement. The third claims Denise never authorized an after-hours inspection. "He wrote this?" I ask. Tessa did while Wade dictated. "And you brought it here." "I brought it so you'd know." "Did you sign another copy?" Denise's eyes flick toward the window. That is answer enough. I hand it back. "Leave." "Mara, you made your choice. I'm trying to keep access to the records. If he suspends me, Tessa controls everything. You signed a lie about me so you could stay close to the truth?" "I signed that I didn't authorize after-hours work in writing. That part is true. Get out." She folds the paper smaller than it was. At the door, she pauses, waiting for me to soften first. "That used to work between us. This time it doesn't." After she leaves, I sit on the kitchen floor because the chair feels too much like making a decision. The certification administrator answers my email the next morning. Employer sponsorship is not required, but without it, the fee is $840, and I need an independent verification of 18 months supervised field experience. Denise is the person listed to verify mine. I print the form anyway. At 10, Noah sends an address for Bellwether's downtown procurement office. A woman named Lena Cho is copied. Her signature identifies her as senior commercial counsel. The conference room has no windows and a bowl of mints hard enough to break teeth. Noah sits across from me with his laptop closed. Lena sits at the end of the table in a green suit and running shoes. "We're prepared to compensate you for today's factual interview," Lena says. 2 hours at your former hourly rate. My former rate paid me to work under someone else's license and insurance. Noah looks down, hiding the beginning of a smile. Lena doesn't. "What rate do you propose?" I name one that makes my stomach twist. It's the normal independent inspection rate Denise once told me I wouldn't earn until I had gray hair. Lena writes it down. "For an interview?" "For technical review. If you want an interview about Halcyon personnel, you need someone else. We need to know whether the equipment complies with our order. I can help with that if I see the machines, the portal records, and the documents Halcyon says support the substitution." Noah opens his laptop. Halcyon hasn't agreed to access. Then there's nothing for me to inspect. Lena folds her hands. "You were terminated yesterday. You understand how hiring you might look. Like you care whether 6 expensive machines are what you purchased. Like we're escalating a dispute before Halcyon completes its investigation." I slide a printed copy of Halcyon's preservation notice across the table. "They're accusing me of interfering with asset records. If I give you private files while they give you private explanations, I become the easiest person for both companies to blame." "What do you want?" Noah asks. "A written scope limited to the 6 loaders. Paid work. My findings shared with Bellwether and Halcyon at the same time. No editing my report into somebody else's summary. And access to the live portal while I'm inspecting." Lena studies me with an expression that feels less like judgment than arithmetic. "You've thought about this." I spent all night being unemployed. Noah turns his screen toward her. On it is a message from Julian. "Halcyon proposes discounted acceptance pending warranty correction." They're moving already. Noah says. Lena reads it and looks at me. Show us one thing that justifies bringing you back onto their property. I take out my phone, switch it to airplane mode, and open Friday's first calibration photograph. The steel block fills the foreground. Behind it, Loader 1's serial bracket is bare. Then I show her the formal inspection image taken 43 minutes later. A polished plate covers the same bracket. Noah leans closer. The plate could have been installed during final preparation, Lena says. It could. So what does this prove? By itself, only timing. I open the image from Loader 2. Bare bracket, then plate. The serial recorded on that plate belongs to an Oregon orchard machine, but Friday's background still shows yellow grease pencil on the windshield, R17. Noah searches the live portal. R17 appears in the archived service notes for the Nevada fire-damaged unit. He sits back. Lena picks up her pen. I'll draft the scope. My phone vibrates against the table when I take it out of airplane mode. An email from Halcyon appears at the top of the screen. Effective immediately, Mara Velez is prohibited from entering company property or contacting Halcyon employees regarding the Bellwether assets. Below it, Wade has copied Julian, Noah, Lena, Denise, and Tessa. He already knows I'm in the room. Lena turns my phone so the email faces her. Do you consent to me responding on your behalf for the limited purpose of this inspection? How limited? This room, this contract, and this specific attempt to keep you away from the equipment. What will it cost me? $1. I blink. I need consideration for an attorney-client engagement, she says. I also need you to understand that Bellwether remains my client. If your interests conflict with theirs, I withdraw. Noah finds $1 in his wallet and slides it toward me. You're lending me my legal fee? Interest-free. I put my own dollar on the table. Lena takes it, opens her laptop, and replies to everyone Wade copied. Bellwether's purchase agreement gives it the right to designate qualified personnel for pre-acceptance inspection. Mara Velez has been retained in that capacity. Halcyon may control access to its premises, but any refusal will be documented as a denial of Bellwether's contractual inspection rights. She reads it aloud before sending. That won't force him to open the bay, I say. No, it forces him to choose what his refusal means. Wade takes 19 minutes. Halcyon agrees to a supervised inspection between 7 and 10 the next morning. I may carry manual measuring tools, but no network devices. Noah may access the warranty portal from a Bellwether laptop. No destructive tests, fluid removal, photography, or contact with Halcyon personnel. It's designed to produce nothing, I say. It gives us the room, Lena says. We negotiate what happens inside it. I use part of Bellwether's first consulting payment to register for my certification exam. $840 vanishes from my account with one click. My remaining balance looks like a typographical error. The administrator still needs Denise's verification by Friday. I close that window. At 6:50 the next morning, I stand outside Halcyon with my caliper case in one hand and Bellwether's temporary inspector badge clipped to my shirt. My old badge has left a faint rectangular mark on the fabric. Noah arrives carrying his laptop. Lena carries coffee and a printed copy of the purchase agreement covered with green tabs. You always dress like this for an inspection? She asks, looking at my work boots. You always wear running shoes with a suit? I like an exit strategy. Calvin sees us through the lobby glass. He opens the door before we knock. His face is professionally blank. Morning. Morning. He checks our names against a list. Wade's prohibition email is printed beneath it. Manual tools only, Calvin says. I set my case on the counter and open it. Brass caliper, feeler gauges, inspection mirror, flashlight, paint depth gauge, and the certified steel block. Calvin looks at the block. So that's where that went. I have the receipt. I've decided I don't care. Wade waits inside Bay 3 with Tessa Brill. He has traded his blue blazer for a Halcyon work jacket, the kind he wears when he wants customers to remember he started in service. Tessa holds a legal pad against her chest. Her dark hair is pinned so tightly it seems to lift her eyebrows. Denise is beside Loader 6 with a clipboard. She looks at my temporary badge, then at my face. I give her neither greeting nor permission to explain. Wade checks his watch. 3 hours. Let's use them productively. Agreed, Noah says. Wade turns to me. Mara, despite the circumstances, I expect professional conduct. That makes 2 of us. Tessa's pen moves. I kneel beside the first loader, unwrap the calibration block, and close the caliper around it. 1 inch. Noah photographs the reading with Bellwether's camera. Wade watches the routine he used to call my brass security blanket. I measure the serial plate. Its edges are straight, its print correct, its finish nearly perfect. The rivet centers are 82 millimeters apart. The manufacturer's plate drawing specifies 80. What tolerance? Tessa asks. 0.5 millimeter. Could the bracket be wrong? 6 brackets? Wade crouches on the other side. These units received new compliance plates during remanufacture. Then the refurbisher installed plates carrying original sale identities after the units arrived here? He stands. That isn't what I said. I measure the second. 82 millimeters. The rivets are the same dull silver blind fasteners Halcyon keeps for data plates and safety labels, or kept. The stock bin was empty when I needed them last month. Noah requests the remanufacture certificates. Tessa writes, request acknowledged. Where are they? Lena asks. Under legal review, Tessa says. Convenient place. We've provided bills of sale establishing lawful ownership. Ownership isn't condition, Lena says. Condition is an identity, and none of them is compliance with the purchase order. Wade opens the first engine cover. The compartment is clean and orderly. New hoses are routed with proper clearances. Replacement clamps face the same direction. Whoever rebuilt these machines knew the work. Start it, he tells Denise. She turns the key. The diesel catches without hesitation. No knock, no belt squeal, no warning light. Wade moves the forks through a full cycle, smooth enough to balance an open cup on the hood. These aren't wrecks, he says over the engine. They are safe, productive assets that meet Bellwether's operating requirements. Then why sell them as new? Noah asks. Commercial classification is being addressed. They had different plates Friday night, I say. Wade shuts off the engine. According to personal images you created while accessing company property outside approved hours. Were the plates changed? I wasn't present Friday night. What about Saturday? His eyes narrow a fraction. Tessa steps between us without physically stepping anywhere. Inspection questions should concern present equipment condition. The identity of the equipment is its present condition. Lena says. I inspect the heat-marked hydraulic sleeve. Someone has rotated it, turning the melted patch toward the frame. My mirror catches it. Wade calls it superficial. I slide a clean white card beneath the sleeve and flex it. A dark bead forms at the edge of the fitting. Active seepage, I say. Below reportable threshold, Denise says. The sentence sounds memorized. I look at her. Based on? She checks the clipboard. Pressure test at 2800 psi. When? Yesterday. Who performed it? I did. The loader's current configuration sheet is clipped beneath her test record. Destination route, Bellwether North Terrace. I know the site from commissioning maps. The North Terrace has an 11-degree approach beside an irrigation trench. It is the steepest route on the property. Why is the fire-damaged unit assigned North Terrace? Wade answers before Denise can. Routing was based on lift configuration. All 6 have the same lift package. This one has the updated steering calibration. Then put it on the flat crush pad route. The customer's logistics team approved the assignments. Noah searches his laptop. We approved lift configurations. We didn't receive unit histories. Wade's patience shows its first crack. Every machine will undergo normal site validation before operation. With 11 weeks of limited warranty, I say, we've offered supplemental coverage. Backed by whom? Halcyon. The answer hangs there. If the hydraulic system fails on a slope, Halcyon can pay for the repair afterward. I ask to take fluid samples. Wade refuses. The agreement prohibits fluid removal. I point to 3 unused sample bottles on Denise's cart. Your technician can draw them. That isn't part of today's scope. Why are the bottles here? Noah asks. Denise looks at Wade. He says, routine inventory. The bottles already have labels. L1HYD, L1TRANS, L1COOL. Prepared before we arrived. Lena reads from the purchase agreement. Section 9 permits reasonable condition testing by the buyer before acceptance. Non-destructive condition testing. A fluid sample is part of scheduled maintenance, I say. Your own service manual requires it before warranty commissioning on remanufactured hydraulic equipment. Noah finds the page in the portal. He turns the screen toward Tessa. Wade asks for a private conference. He and Tessa walk to the far end of the bay, where the ceiling fan chops their voices into pieces. Denise keeps her eyes on her clipboard. I don't speak to her. I don't need another accusation that I violated the contact restriction. She tears the top sheet from her pad and places it face down on the cart between us. When Wade returns, he agrees to 3 samples from Loader 1, drawn by Denise and sealed in everyone's presence. Denise fills the bottles. Her hands are steady until she reaches the hydraulic reservoir. Then the bottle trembles against the valve and clicks twice. I notice because she taught me to notice. The face-down sheet is a system printout. At the bottom, in small gray text, it shows the revision history for yesterday's pressure test. Created, 4:18 p.m., Denise Harper. Test date entered, Friday, 9:30 a.m., modified 5:02 p.m. in Wade Mercer. The original pressure field was blank. Denise did not test the loader Friday. Wade backdated the result after he fired me. I leave the sheet where it is. The laboratory is 20 minutes from Halcyon. Bellwether pays for an expedited analysis. Results arrive that afternoon while Noah and I sit in his office comparing portal service histories. The hydraulic fluid contains elevated copper, oxidation, and fine carbon contamination consistent with heat exposure. The transmission fluid carries an additive package discontinued 2 years ago. Noah opens the archived maintenance report from Red Mesa. The same copper and carbon pattern appears after the quarry fire. It's the same machine, he says. We knew it was the same machine. This ties the present reservoir to the archived service event and tells us the flush wasn't complete. Noah studies the numbers. Could it run Monday? Yes. For how long? I don't know. That's why honest warranty history matters. He leans back. Julian wants the loaders. I know. He says the discount could fund a spare unit and extra maintenance. That's not irrational. Noah looks surprised. Wade didn't buy 6 piles of scrap, I say. He bought machines that might do the job. He lied because Bellwether couldn't finance them under this package and because Halcyon couldn't make its margin if he priced them honestly. You make him sound almost reasonable. That's how he got this far. Lena joins us with Halcyon's partial document production. Wade has provided 6 liquidation bills of sale, service invoices for replacement pumps, and freight receipts. He has withheld the broker correspondence and remanufacture certificates as privileged investigation material. The freight records catch my eye. The 6 refurbished loaders arrived together. Beneath those invoices are scheduled freight reservations from the original manufacturer. 1 unit in 6 weeks, 2 in 9, 1 in 11, 2 without confirmed dates. Why reserve 6 separate inbound deliveries? I ask. Supply shortage, Noah says. Why deliver them to Bellwether's regional service yard instead of Halcyon? Lena moves closer. Each reservation includes a reference field. Warranty exchange. The first is linked to Loader 3, the second to Loader 1. Wade planned to swap the refurbished machines out 1 or 2 at a time after Bellwether accepted them. Each would appear to suffer an early problem. Halcyon would install a new replacement under its supplemental coverage, and the serial mismatch would disappear into ordinary service paperwork before the manufacturer's limited warranties expired. Noah runs his finger down the dates. That's why he needs acceptance Monday. Acceptance releases the performance payment, Lena says. Then he can afford the factory units. He's using Bellwether's money to finish buying what Bellwether already paid for. My inbox flashes with a message from the certification administrator. Supervisory verification received. Application approved. The attached form carries Denise's electronic signature and today's date. A second attachment appears below it. Her written correction to Halcyon compliance says, I had authorization to inspect the loaders Friday night. It also says Wade instructed her to backdate the pressure tests and threatened to review her prior inspection files if she refused. Across Noah's office, Lena's phone rings once. She reads the screen and silences it. Halcyon wants a final commercial meeting tomorrow, she says. Warranty, financing, manufacturer representative, everyone in one room. Wade is offering the full discount. I look at the staggered exchange schedule and Denise's corrected statement. He'll present my solution as his. Lena closes the document packet. Then brings something he can't rename. I take Denise's correction out of the report packet before Lena can send it. She gave it to compliance, I say. It belongs in the evidence file, but it can't be the first thing we use. Why not? Noah asks. Because Wade will turn the whole meeting into a fight about whether Denise and I coordinated our stories. Lena watches me rearrange the pages. What goes first? The machines. I build a condition table with one line for every fact we can prove without asking anyone to believe my intentions. Portal identity, original sale date, prior owner, reported damage, current warranty, plate dimensions, Friday image time, Monday inspection time, fluid results, intended bellwether route. The freight schedule comes after that. Denise's correction goes last. At midnight, I reach the section labeled Recommended Disposition and stop. It would feel good to write Reject All 6, clean and punishing. It would also leave Bellwether without equipment 9 days before harvest staging. The loaders can work. 5 can probably work reliably with the right maintenance. 1 needs its hydraulic system opened, flushed, and tested before it goes anywhere near the North Terrace. I write what I would have written if Wade had told the truth from the beginning, except 4 at independently appraised, refurbished value, contingent on complete service histories and manufacturer-backed extended coverage. Hold 1 as a part-supported spare after transmission analysis. Reject the fire damage unit pending hydraulic repair and slope testing. Lease a verified unit for the North Terrace until a factory new replacement arrives. The staggered factory deliveries should become scheduled replacements, documented openly with the new serials added to Bellwether's financing agreement before installation. Noah reads the recommendation over my shoulder. You just found a way for Halcyon to keep the contract. I found a way for Bellwether to keep operating. Wade will use that. I know. Lena taps the report. And if we don't offer a workable outcome, he'll argue that every technical finding is an excuse to punish Halcyon. I close the caliper case. Then he can argue with the measurements. The final meeting starts in Halcyon's conference room and spills into the bay before anyone sits down. Julian is there with Noah and Lena. Tessa stands near the wall with 3 document boxes and a look that says she hasn't slept. Bellwether's equipment financing representative, Marcy Dodd, keeps the purchase order open on a tablet. The loader manufacturer has sent its regional warranty manager, Ellis Grant, a narrow man with a red field case and dust on his boots. Wade arrives last. His blue blazer is back. So is the warm customer voice. He greets each person by name, including me. Mara, I'm glad we have an opportunity to resolve this constructively. My temporary Bellwether badge sits in the same place my Halcyon badge used to. Good morning, Wade. He gives me half a second to accept the tone he has chosen, then faces Julian. Halcyon has completed its preliminary review. The equipment was acquired through a legitimate secondary market channel during an unprecedented supply disruption. Its operating capacity meets or exceeds the contractual requirement. We acknowledge that the warranty classification was not communicated clearly. Marcy looks up. Your invoices call the assets factory new. The invoicing category followed the intended final configuration. Halcyon always planned to cycle in new production units as they became available. He distributes a printed proposal. It is my solution wearing a tie. Discounted acceptance, supplemental coverage, staggered replacements, a spare unit. He has even moved the fire-damaged loader off the north terrace, though he describes the change as routine route optimization. Under this structure, Wade continues, Bellwether receives uninterrupted operations, substantial savings, and ultimately the new fleet it ordered. Halcyon absorbs the cost of the transition. Lena glances at me. I keep my hands flat on the table. Julian reads the first page. How much of a discount? 28% immediately, plus no-cost replacement as new inventory arrives. That's real money, Marcy says. It is, Wade says. We're prepared to stand behind the relationship. Ellis Grant turns to the warranty appendix. You're promising full manufacturer coverage on the present units through Halcyon with your regional service network performing authorized work. That isn't manufacturer coverage. It is functionally equivalent for the customer, not to us. Wade nods as if Ellis has improved the wording rather than rejected the premise. Then we'll call it dealer supplemental protection. He is very good. Even with 6 false serial identities sitting 40 feet away, he can make the argument sound like adults solving an unfortunate paperwork problem. Julian asks me, will this plan keep us running? It could. Wade's eyes flick toward me. He wasn't expecting that answer. I continue. The operating plan is workable after independent valuation, full disclosure to financing, correction of every asset identity, and removal of loader 1 until the hydraulic contamination is addressed. The current proposal doesn't correct the identities. They're listed in the appendix, Wade says. They're listed under the serials on the plates. Those serials match the source documentation provided by the broker. Ellis closes the appendix. They don't match authorized remanufacture plates. The room changes by 1 degree. Wade turns to him. Can you state that conclusively? I can state that the 6 serials belong to 6 original units in our system. I can also state that a replacement identification plate issued after certified remanufacture carries an R designation and a warranty class in the lower field. The plates in your inspection photographs have neither. We received them in that condition. Then your receiving records should show that, I say. They do. Tessa reaches into the top document box. No, they don't. Wade looks at her for the first time. She places enlarged copies of my Friday calibration photographs on the table. Beside them, she lays Halcyon's receiving images, taken automatically when the transport wrap was scanned. Bare brackets appear in every picture. Tessa adds a printout of Saturday's badge log. 1 entry at 7:12 a.m. Wade Mercer. 1 exit at 9:46. No other Bay 3 access. This is an internal investigation, Wade says. Why are partial findings being presented before I've been interviewed? You were asked yesterday to account for Saturday access, Tessa says. I was securing customer assets after Mara's irregular inspection. With a box from consumable stock? She turns her laptop toward the table. The loading dock recording has no sound. Wade appears in a gray sweatshirt and work pants, moving quickly past the camera with an orange and white box tucked beneath one arm. The label faces outward for 3 steps. Aluminum data plate rivets, Lot 4H. The same box Denise and I found empty. Friday night when I asked why the serial plates used bright new fasteners. Wade watches himself disappear from the frame. I carried supplies into the bay, he says. That doesn't establish who used them or why. No, Tessa says. It establishes that your written statement denying Saturday access was false. He shifts his attention to her. Be careful. It is quiet, almost gentle. Tessa's fingers stop on the keyboard. I know that tone. Denise knows it too. She is standing in the doorway behind us, still in her work shirt, holding a clipboard against her stomach. Tessa presses play again. Wade's recorded figure crosses the screen with the box. Let's inspect the plates. Ellis says. We move into Bay 3. The loaders wait in their polished row, less beautiful now that everyone knows where to look. I set my caliper case on a rolling cart. Wade stays beside Julian, talking quietly about lead times and service capacity. I unwrap the steel block, 1 inch. I hand the caliper to Noah. He hesitates. I'm a warranty director. My practical skills peak at changing printer toner. Close the jaws gently. Read the display. He measures the block. 1.000. Now the center distance on loader 1's rivets. I show him where to place the narrow jaws. He tries twice before the tips sit correctly. 82 millimeters. Check loader 2. Same. Ellis opens his red field case and removes an authorized replacement plate. Its lower edge carries the R designation he described. He holds it over loader 1's bracket. The factory holes sit 2 millimeters inside the installed rivets. The plates on these machines were fabricated or altered outside our authorized process, he says. They cannot be used for warranty identification. Wade folds his arms. A hole spacing discrepancy doesn't prove the underlying machines are misidentified. No, I say. The service histories, fluid signatures, transport marks, prior hour readings, and archived configuration codes do that. I show Ellis the yellow R17 visible behind my calibration block in Friday's photograph. He brings up the Nevada unit's archive on Noah's laptop. R17 appears in 3 old service notes and a fire loss photograph. 2 details that looked like background clutter now point to the same machine. Marcy Dodd closes the purchase order on her tablet. Bellwether's financing approval is suspended. We cannot fund factory new assets against these identities. Wade steps toward her. That strands a time-sensitive agricultural operation over a correctable administrative issue. It prevents us from certifying collateral we know is misclassified. We're correcting it right now. You're acknowledging it right now, Julian says. That's different. Wade's face goes still. For the first time since he tore off my tag, there is nowhere useful for his smile to go. He turns to Denise. Tell them when those plates were installed. Denise grips the clipboard tighter. When I arrived Saturday afternoon, they were already on. You told compliance you couldn't remember. I remembered after you asked me to backdate the pressure test. That test was performed. Monday, after you fired Mara. You verified the result. I verified the pressure held on a stationary cycle. I didn't verify the date you entered, and I didn't approve the route assignment. Wade looks around the bay as if taking inventory of who has become unreliable. Then he points at me. This is what happens when a company lets a junior technician turn commercial judgment into a purity test. She has no responsibility for payroll, delivery penalties, or the 40 people whose jobs depend on this account. I solved a supply failure, imperfectly maybe, but I solved it. Some of that is true. The technicians in the service area can hear him. A few stare through the open bay divider. Wade knows exactly where to stand when he says 40 jobs. I feel every eye on my temporary badge. You solved it with Bellwether's money, I say. You needed their acceptance payment to buy the new machines, so you planned 6 warranty exchanges after handover. That is an interpretation of preliminary freight reservations. I give Marcy the reservation schedule. She checks each reference against the proposed draw dates in the financing package. The performance payment releases Monday, and the first factory loader arrives 6 weeks later, I say. Halcyon calls loader 3 in for a warranty issue, replaces it, and updates the collateral schedule. Then another. By the time anyone compares the original plates to the portal, most of the mismatches are gone. Wade turns to Julian. You would still receive every new unit. After I signed that, these were new. You would receive the outcome you contracted for. Julian rubs his thumb along the crease in his purchase order. I contracted for the truth too, he says. Tessa asks Wade to surrender his badge and company devices pending the conclusion of Halcyon's investigation. He looks at her as if she is an employee who has misunderstood a meeting. You don't have termination authority. No, I have suspension authority under the compliance policy you signed. Calvin waits by the glass doors. Wade sees him and lets out one quiet laugh. Before leaving, he stops beside me. Up close, he looks exhausted rather than defeated. "You think they'll reward you for this?" he asks. "Bellwether will use your report to cut the price. Halcyon will cut people to make up the difference. Then everyone will call it integrity because the numbers are in the right columns. I think you could have offered refurbished machines honestly and lost the order. Maybe. Definitely." He walks out with Calvin. Julian accepts 4 loaders at independently assessed refurbished value. A 5th becomes a service spare after its transmission analysis comes back clean. Loader 1 remains in Halcyon's bay for a complete hydraulic rebuild and manufacturer-observed slope test. Bellwether leases a certified unit for the North Terrace. Halcyon refunds the new equipment premium, purchases extended manufacturer coverage, and agrees to outside asset audits for the remaining contract. The staggered factory replacements stay on the schedule, but Bellwether's financing records carry every real serial before money moves. The contract survives. The discount hurts. So do the audits. Wade's suspension becomes termination after Halcyon confirms he altered the asset identities and submitted the false classifications for financing. His promised promotion disappears with his access badge. Tessa's review expands to the rushed inspections Denise signed. Denise keeps her job under probation and loses supervisory authority for 3 months. My termination letter remains in my file for 11 days. Then Halcyon sends a revised letter withdrawing every allegation and offering reinstatement with back pay. I meet Tessa in the same lobby where the portal loaded. She slides the offer across the counter. "We'd like you back," she says. "Under Denise?" "Initially." "And sales can still overrule inspection holds?" "We're reviewing that." I push the offer back. "Finish reviewing it before you hire another inspector." Denise catches me outside. She has signed my certification verification twice now, once electronically and once in ink. "I don't expect things to go back," she says. "They can't." "I know." She hands me the form. I take it. "Thank you for correcting the record. It isn't forgiveness, and she doesn't pretend it is." After that, she sends service information through approved channels, signs what she actually verifies, and lets silence be uncomfortable without asking me to fix it. Bellwether offers me a position in equipment acceptance. I negotiate the certification fee into my contract, along with independent stop work authority and a reporting line outside procurement sales. Julian complains about the salary for 6 minutes and agrees to it in 7. The first honest handover happens with dust on the loaders and their refurbished histories printed in the packets. Their real serials open the correct portal records. Their warranties cost more than Wade's proposal claimed and less than a hillside failure would have. Before I inspect them, I place the steel block on a rolling cart and close my brass caliper around it. 1 inch. I photograph the reading beside the work order. In the background, the corrected plates sit plainly on the machines, old scratches visible beneath clean edges. The image becomes the first page of every acceptance file I sign. Proof before promises.